Our next interview is with listed RegTech firm Identitii. It's been granted patent approval of its products in the United States. The deal will safeguard the business, we're being told, from competitive threats.
Yes, to tell us all about it is CEO John Rayment. John, great to have you on the program. Let's start big picture here. Give us a rundown. You know, RegTech is one of these terms we get thrown around a little bit. Specifically, what is it that your business does?
Sure. Good morning or good afternoon, and thanks for having us on the show. Our business was conceived to solve the problem that most businesses in the financial services industry are a collection of M&A activity building up and not scaling up following today's practices, and they end up being run by technology that is not new, and more often than not a collection of dozens and sometimes hundreds of different pieces of technology. And just getting a single view of all of your information about your customers and their transactions is really hard. And that's probably the reason why a number of businesses are running into trouble with the regulators in the last couple of years. And we think that there's an easier and more cost-effective way to overlay a simple piece of technology to help provide structure to unstructured data and help institutions get a better view of the transaction information that they already possess.
Okay, so we're talking about these US patents that Identitii has received. How important is it to get these patents, and what doors, importantly, do you think that they'll open?
Yeah, it all depends on, I guess, your future strategy. It's incredibly important for us because the long-term product strategy for our company is to build a globally connected ecosystem for the secure sharing of financial information about transactions. We never want to be moving the money around the world, but we recognise that whilst that happens seamlessly around the world today, the need for greater and more richer amounts of information to help process and report those transactions needs to occur. So to be recognised by the US Patent Office as having a unique idea or a unique invention is an extraordinary validation that we're on the right track for our product strategy.
So John, is this just about strengthening that competitive position, or is it going to open up new revenue streams as well?
I would hope it's a little from column A and a little from column B. This will obviously protect our IP. It's a key part of our IP protection strategy. I would like to think, I'd like to hope that it'll help and open a few more doors and help us to roll out our core platform within the financial institution world all across the world. And look, there may be some opportunities for additional revenue on the basis that the Patent Office has ruled that it's now our idea.
Okay, so what's next? I know you can't afford to sit still for even a moment. I do hope you get a bit of a Christmas break. But what are you working on that might bring you to the next phase quicker at this time?
Yeah, look, we like everybody else running into Christmas, and we just wanted to get to Christmas and to prove to shareholders that we had enough capital in the bank to run our business into 2022, and that we started to demonstrate traction against our business development agenda, and we were starting to attract the right type of people to help us scale the business. I think we've done all three of those things, and we go into Christmas having had a pretty good 2020. And 2021 is all about taking that long-term product strategy that I talked to you about before and continuing to break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks. And we're going to be focused very heavily next year on helping Australian reporting entities report to AUSTRAC, and we're going to be helping financial institutions around the world, particularly correspondent banks, securely share financial crime compliance information with their counterparties. Well, we'll be going to market with two very narrow use cases.
Yeah, okay. Interesting stuff, especially in light as to some of the problems that at least one major financial institution has had with AUSTRAC here. So thank you for that.
Yes, John, I guess one final question before we do let you go. Give us a bit of a sense of the competitive landscape out there. I assume there's a lot of players in this space. How competitive is it, and how do you stand out?
It's a very competitive landscape, but we genuinely believe we've landed on somewhat of a sweet spot. So, from a product perspective, what we do in Australia is we help financial institutions automate IFTI and TTR reports to AUSTRAC, the regulator. IFTIs are an international funds transfer instruction for they are reporting entities are required to tell AUSTRAC about every time money goes in or out of the country. It's the transaction, or it's the reporting type that Westpac unfortunately missed earlier this year, or were fined for earlier this year. And there aren't any other technology companies because that is an Australian regulatory only requirement. There aren't any other global technology companies that are automating that particular problem. So we believe we're out there on our own, and we want to be helping the Australian financial services industry, and then taking that technology because it's input and output agnostic, and looking to leverage that and help financial institutions all around the world.
Okay, so you recently did a cap raise. Do you anticipate you'll need to tap the market for further cash through 2021, or do you have enough to get you going to hit these milestones and eventually become profitable, importantly?
Sure, we have enough cash to run us right into 2022, and we have always said that we would be interested in strategic investment, from some of the bigger banks and some of the bigger fintech partners that we have been working with around the world, on the basis that not only can they help us with a healthy injection of capital, but it's important they can help us accelerate our business development agenda. But as we go into Christmas and we look at our plans for Q1 of calendar next year and the first half of the run off to the end of the financial year, we're not thinking about capital and the need for capital at the moment.
Well,
So
John,
nice.
yes, definitely, and an exciting time for the business. We do hope you'll check in with us again and keep us updated. But other than that, have yourself a good Christmas.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.